Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for another comic book spoiler review. Today we will be reviewing an awesome comic that I read last year. Matter of fact, I don't think it came out last year. I think it came out like 2019 more than likely. Let me double check here. The Invisible Woman will be covering here. One second here. Yeah, July 10, 2019 is when this comic came out. Writer Mark Waid and artist Mattia de Eloise. Yeah. Mattia, I guess, is one of those kind of artists that use kind of like photorealism, realistic artistry in his work. Because it's like, generally I kind of like this kind of art style. It's kind of like we were watching something on YouTube, like created by certain like fan scripted kind of stuff, and they're using like graphics. It's cool to see, like, instead of pixelated kind of stuff, you get to see like 3D models, and that's just kind of look like to me like 3D model of like characters involved in this. But yeah, there's certain like Fantastic Four characters that got their solo series. I think this is the only one Invisible Woman centered comic. And I think it's like ideal to start with this. At some point, I'll do one for The Thing and Johnny Storm, but as I looked up like earlier in the week, I don't think Mr. Fantastic ever got his own solo issue series, which I think he definitely deserves one. Obviously, I'm surprised he never got one after all these years. But yeah, Sue Storm. This is like kind of like not like an Elseworlds kind of scenario like you see with like Batman or anything like that, but it's kind of like like a offshoot story centered on an Invisible Woman, Sue Storm, and her adventure that doesn't have nothing to do with outer space or with a family. This is like a espionage thing, which, given her skill set with invisibility, obviously she'd be great as a spy. She used to work with the classic white Caucasian Nick Fury, which turns out to be like a life model decoy, and the real Nick Fury is a black man, which was kind of retcon, since the MCU got started. We'll start off with issue 1, where it's like years ago. I think it was like not too long after she got married to Mr. Fantastic, or at least maybe around the time when they're like really serious. She was on like an espionage mission in Europe, trying to reclaim a prime target to bring back to the U.S. From encampment, essentially. She's working with this guy named Aiden Tetrich, which is her kind of like the rigs to her Murtaugh. And it was like it's like an awesome photorealistic. I really wish I can show you some of these images, but I don't want to get flagged or anything like that. But you get to see like they're in a snowy area, and like as the snow's coming down, it's like obviously if you get wet, if your like key power is invisibility, and you get wet or something falls on you like snow, you obviously get to see the outline of the person, and the invisibility is kind of like moot point at that level. And they're avoiding gunfire while they're trying to extract this target. And after the mission is over, she's speaking with her partner, and he was like relaying to her like, I know you like typically like usually used to the superhero thing, but at some point in this line of work, you're gonna have to pull the trigger on certain targets, because you're not gonna get lucky where someone might come in the nick of time and knock the guy out, or or you can just run away. And And Sue Storm is a classic superhero. It's like, I'm maybe helping out like a government with this espionage work, but I will not take a life. I'm not going to do that. It's typical like Superman and Spider-Man, mantra. And it's like if they needed like someone who doesn't hesitate on taking a life, they should have just hired like the Punisher or Wolverine, who have done espionage work before and has no qualms about taking a life if need be. They won't use it as Wolverine won't use it as a first resort, but he doesn't hesitate if he has to. But you're dealing with like one of the Fantastic Four members, and it's like, would you like expect no less from her? So like, fast forward to present day, and she's like, you get to see like her doing like the mundane kind of family life, which she's actually appreciative of, because given the fact that all the gallivanting around the cosmos or the subatomic universe, or typical Fantastic Four fashion, because they're explorers by and large. But she appreciates the downtime finally, where like she wants date night with Reed. She's hanging out with her brother and Ben, and she just enjoy like a peaceful cup of coffee. Even though like it's fun doing all this other stuff, very so often she like appreciate the downtime, in which you get it in a lot of superhero comics here and there. Spider-Man especially, they just wanted to just enjoy like a simple day without having to go out and do costume hero stuff every once in a while. I mean, it's like, they won't hesitate to do so if they're there and, they can do something about it. They won't hesitate. But it's just, I can only imagine how frustrating it is if they can't just have like a day to themselves. It's not like a 9-to-5 job where you can just call in sick or just like, oh, it's my day off kind of thing. They're like firefighters. Superheroes are like firefighters. They on call all the time. Like, especially if something's happening in front of them, they got to jump in. It was almost like a reflex at that point. But she comes to appreciate the downtimes when she can get them. Then she gets this call from a CIA. I don't know, it's like a liaison, but just like a head honcho kind of guy in Langley. Letting Invisible know that what he's about to tell her is like strictly classified. He understood that they worked for Shield before, for espionage work, and her partner apparently got captured, and he's relaying about like some kidnapped college students in like this fictional like not European, but it's like I'm not sure if it's European or just Middle Eastern, but this Maravan, there's Maravan, yeah, this made up country, and they're being held at like the U.S. embassy, but it's like it's kind of like a trade-off situation. They're pretty much just being used as political pawns. What they really want is like the intel from Aiden, but his whereabouts are currently unknown, and the only thing before the last thing they got from him is like a one word, Stormy, which was her Sue's code name while they was in the field. So he called her in just to see if she knew anything about that one word, since she worked with them, but he didn't bother to ask her to help out. So essentially she's like taking upon her hands to go rogue and find out what's going on with her old partner, see if he's okay, and see if she can do anything about those captured kids. And then she bumps into current Nick Fury, Sam Jackson Nick Fury, and he's pretty much handing her some because she already snuck off some files from the CIA guy's desk. But she also Nick also provided her with passports and all other stuff she don't need to uh, 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 take a uncharted plane of her own to Madripoor, which is like the most dangerous country in the Marvel universe, where a lot of bad guys go to trade or with secrets, money, weapons, intel, all kind of stuff. Not a place where superheroes normally go. And there's only a very few handful of you've seen it in like Falcon and the Winter Soldier that Madripoor, you get to finally see it in the MCU. But in the comics, only a handful of comic characters that we know that fight on the good side had went to Madripoor before, like Deadpool, Wolverine, a handful of Shield agents like Maria Hill, Sharon Carter, Nick Fury, Punisher, went there before. So yeah, but it's not something you want to advertise that you're one of the superhero guys. Like you really gotta, if you go there, you gotta really be low profile. This is not something that, because it's like no extradition. This is like kind of like our own run country kind of situation, and it's weird how like government agency decided to blow it all to Kingdom Come. You got a lot of supervillains all cultivating in one spot, and you can like pretty much cut the bad guy flow in half. But whatever. But as she lands, she runs into her contact there, which is Black Widow. And now we go into the next episode. Next issue. What the heck I'm talking about? I was just finished talking about the Loki series, so I'm in that mind space. So this is where they, go into the den of thieves, essentially, to meet with this guy who might have some information for them. Now, before they enter this, what was the bar? The Brass Monkey. That's what this bar is called. Now, Black Widow is given like Sue a little bit of grief, considering that she thinks both of their versions of superhero work is too vastly different. She thinks Sue is kind of too cookie cutter for this line of work. I'm just shocked that Black Widow, one of the greatest spies in the Marvel universe, doesn't know about. Of course, certain things are classified for most people, but I figure like at least 3 people, like Black Widow, Nick Fury, and Maria Hill, at least those 3 should have no problem knowing what Sue had done years ago under Shield watch, or at least Shield go ahead. And because when Sue brought up about like, I'm surprised this place still standing after at the Peregrine affair, and she's like, "Oh, the Peregrine. Wait, that was you? Yep." And then like Black Widow's like, "Huh? Yeah," because like she was judging Sue too quickly, kind of scenario. It's like like I know what I'm doing. Like I'm not green or like just like don't look at me like play with me like I'm got kid with kid gloves. Like I've been through this stuff, so like let's just continue on, which I like, because it's like they treating her like a rookie kind of scenario. This is not like a experienced cop dealing with a rookie kind of scenario. Like like I've been through the bandwagon. It's like I've even been here before too. Probably without you. So like let's just cut the bull crap because like Black Widow rolled her eyes and like that just floored Sue. Like it's like roll those eyes, I'll roll them right out of your head. Uh, uh, then they call for a specific drink, the two vodka limes neat. It was a code to speak with uh what's this guy's name? What's this guy's name? Chang Dao. And this is like a dude and this Asian man in like a like an all white suit with like a cane, and they need information from him. But he only will do that if like, because it's like a classic kind of thing like you see in a lot of like pulp films, where it's like you go to a CD bar or restaurant and like you speak with the gangster who runs it, and like he's telling them like, oh, I'll give you information if you like, win at this drinking contest, and the first who kills over or passes out loses. So he wants Sue to drink because like Sue was pretty much following Black Widow's lead the whole time. Uh, he wanted Sue to participate, and he has this big large man to participate for him. So they both started drinking, and like Sue like started building up stacks, and dude passes out first, and Natasha's like, oh, well, it looks like your guy can't hold his liquor, and the guy's like, oh no, he's quite dead. The drink was poison, and your friend will be dead in seconds. And Sue is like a very baller move where like, I don't think so. And then she, because she turned all the liquor invisible immediately to make it simulating that she was drinking it all, but in fact, she didn't trust the whole entire scenario. So she, even if he was on the up and up, she wanted to make sure, I guess, obviously keep her head. So she wanted to guarantee that she wins. So she essentially cheated and turned all the drinks invisible as he pretended to drink, and then allow that guy to go into like a drunken stupor, and then the poison goes through his veins eventually. But she turns all the drinks visible again, and Tasha's about to knock this dude out for trying to kill all of them. But and she's trying to get the guy to talk. An assassin, classic move from like every 80s 90s spy movie. Sniper, or it's not much of a sniper. It's like right outside the window, a gunshot went into Shang Dao's head, killing him instantly before he can say anything. Then Sue and Black Widow chase after this biker. Luckily, Sue can use like an invisible board, and they can just fly overhead to keep eyes on the guy without having to go through all the large crowds of people like he has to. But he then tried to give them the slip through the buildings, but with Invisible Woman's invisible powers, she can just make certain parts of the building invisible, so that way they can still keep eyes on and see where he's turning and hopping and bobbing and weaving. Like no matter what he's doing, they got a beat on him. Then since he exited out of another building, he got picked up by a getaway driver. Then once they get to a certain point, Black Widow jump off the board and lands on top of them, causing them to crash. And and she's hopping off, but she hopped off before the car crashed into this telephone pole. Then she heard two gunshots. Then the motorcyclist, assassin, and the getaway driver are both dead. That the cyclist, shot them both dead so they won't be interrogated. So it ends with like Black Widow pulling out a file she grabbed out of the car with a picture of a redheaded woman, and apparently it's Aiden's supposed wife. Because earlier in this issue, it was like another flashback of them talking about, this. Well, he made her believe that he's just gonna do the single thing. It's not a kind of job you want to have like a family, attached on top of all that, because that offers distractions and blah blah blah. So to Sue's shock, that wait, like he had a wife. So we on to that issue ends on to 3, where Sue then goes to track down this lady. Apparently she's Irish, because I guess had a thing for, like, because he in the last issue was talking about like this not much of a fantasy, but the ideal woman, and it's like she's Irish, redhead kind of thing. You would think he was making it all up, but he was describing this woman, Colleen, and she was trying to get information about like any hint or word where Aiden has gone to, any bit helps kind of situation. She started crying, wondering like what kind of danger you think he's in. He's supposed to be in like like in business and that kind of thing. He's supposed to be some kind of convention or something for insurance. She go in the drawer saying she's about to, like, she wrote down some kind of note, but then of course Sue's no chump. Like, I love when like we got these characters that we read about and seen on TV and all these since like the 80s, 90s, and it's like I like it when writers treat these characters. I mentioned this when I was doing the walkthrough Spider-Man PS4 last year, or I wrapped up earlier this year. Like experience here, like Spider-Man, Invisible Woman, all the Fantastic Four, Daredevil, Iron Man. These characters have been through their fair crap. Like, if this was her first year into the superhero game or whatever, then I could see her slipping like this and being fooled by somebody who might be pulling out like a gun. In fact, she mentions that she took some acting classes when she first started doing this, so she can pick up cues when somebody's faking it. The whole tears and the whole shebang. And like she made the drawer invisible so she can actually see that she was actually pulling out a gun on her. And it's just like, I'm gonna let you know right now, I wasn't buying it, and I wouldn't advise you trying to pull that on me, because I can make a force field and you're just gonna piss me off. Pretty much that. So it'll be just a waste of bullets essentially. But then like some thugs break in, like with a bunch of like arsenals, and then of course Sue puts up like a force field, but they were prepared for her, so they brought like this sonic gun, whereas like the few weaknesses of the Invisible Woman is usually trying to break her concentration, because it takes a fair bit of concentration for her to do anything with her powers. Put force fields, like force with bubbles or walls, or just turn invisible. Anything of the sort in her power structure it takes a fair bit of concentration, and breaking that concentration is the only way to get those guards down so she can be apprehended. So she's trying to power through it while keeping the bubble up because they would be dead as soon as she's dropped on them. But then she pulled a slick move where it turned the bad guys invisible. So now they're disoriented. They don't know what's going on. They freaking out. So it gives her the out that she needs to use a force palm kind of, like a force push kind of scenario with her invisible abilities to knock them all out. Then she starts questioning Colleen, and she explains that not really his wife. It's just a cover, so that way we can maintain our covers. So we pull this kind of facade kind of scenario, standard procedure kind of situation. She doesn't know what happened with Aiden, but then Sue explains he was kidnapped, but she wants to know where his last whereabouts would be, and that's what she was trying to get some answers. And I guess the last known whereabouts were him meeting a contact named Vitavier in Italy. So this is where that classic spy thing where you go to kind of like Casino Royale when you get all dressed up for this elegant event. So she's in of course in a very beautiful blue dress, but she's still worried about still being recognized because she's the Fantastic Four. Their identities are very public, obviously, from the jump. So I love this moment more specifically because you get further details on how her powers work that you typically do not see from the Invisible Woman. That because she's a scientist herself, not just Reed. So she understands the inner workings on how light works on surfaces and the invisibility, and she plays around with it over the years. So and she's so adept at utilizing it in very intricate ways that we never knew that was possible if you never took a science class. That she can actually change her skin tone and her hair color because with her invisibility powers, because all she had to do is just bend the light on the surfaces just to make them change a particular color. She even referenced that she even freaked Ben out by changing his body from an orange rock to a pink colored rock. So I thought that was pretty cool. He got this because she's she's adept at speaking Italian, but she got from blonde to kind of a brownish color hair and very tan, not very tan, but a slight tan to her skin. So she can easily be incognito. It's the perfect espionage. Things Black Widow, not hard, but usually got to work a little bit at it when doing a particular disguise with wigs and all that kind of stuff and mannerism, all this, the 9 yards that she had to be taught to do and actually work at. While the Invisible Woman, all she had to do, and she don't even need a wig. She can just bend the light on her hair and she can be any color she wants. And I thought that was really cool. And you learn a little bit of science in this. It's really cool. She spots Vitavier, this woman in glasses, kind of look like Velma from Scooby-Doo. And of course, some dude tried to, pick up, the Invisible Woman. He didn't know she was the Invisible Woman, but she turned him down. But then you hear her inner thoughts yeah, still got it. Of course, she still got it. She, one of the hottest Marvel women in the comics. Well, at least one, I won't say in all comics, but she definitely, as far as Marvel is concerned, she's definitely in the top, well, definitely in the top 10 as far as hottest Marvel female characters. Then she tried to pull a distraction just to get uh, uh, V. I'm just call her V. I don't want to say the entire name, but she's trying to get V separated from these massive bodyguards that is like on her like white on rice. So she turns one of the art exhibits invisible, making everybody freak out thinking somebody just pilfered a painting. So the security and the guards and the bodyguards all drew their attention away from V. So Sue can sneak up on her and snatch her so she can have a private talk with her. So as they are talking, it was explained to Sue that those guards wasn't her bodyguards; they were just like her handlers, because whoever grabbed Aiden also grabbed her and forcing her to work on this new version of Wi-Fi called Li-Fi, which is supposed to be like a whole lot better, and as far as like be able to like do certain things with less interference and no spying or anything like that, or infiltrating or anything like that. This is like so secure of like a Wi-Fi that she was forced to continue to work on. But all that is pretty much like BS. As like someone trying to come up behind her and mollywop Sue from behind with a croquet bat. But like I said, experienced superhero, been at this for a long while. I like when a writer plays Sue is not like just the wife of Reed Richards. She's her own person, and she's like a badass. So she mentions like, and the croquet bat smashes up against her shield that she had like not too thinly next to her body, but just like a overall just like a buffer, just like like a few inches away from her actual body, and it smashes up against the shield. And she mentions like, you don't think I ever put my shield up when I'm in the field? And then of course she knocks the guy out, but then of course V triggered a device that kind of interrupts something like, I don't know, like Sue's equilibrium or something like that, but it forces her to pass out, revealing that it's like infrasound kind of technology. She's she was playing as the victim. She's been working with Aiden apparently, who shows up right there. And the last thing she heard from him before she passed out was like, "We're gonna need your help." And we'll move on to the next one. And of course, when she wakes up, she's completely blind. Not like Daredevil blind, but it looks like she was Daredevil blind by the first image of the page. But it's some piece of technology they injected into her to keep her invisible powers, or at least her powers in general, from keep her from choosing to use them for anything, because she doesn't know where her whereabouts is. If she doesn't know where her surroundings, then she doesn't want to run the risk of hurting an innocent person, because Aiden's mentioned over mentioning her from like a distance that you could be surrounded by a bunch of hostages. You might get collateral damage, or you don't know what's going on. So you guys gotta sit here and listen. And they're going over to her. I mean, like, they pulling her to this lab, and she's V is mentioning to Sue like she got like a remote button here that she can choose to, turn off that device so she can actually see. We got another moment of science knowledge here. Is that she mentions like, my entire optic structure, nerves and all, is unique. Ordinary retinas register objects using reflected light, but mine also interpolate interpolate shapes based on reflected cosmic rays, which permeate the atmosphere. It's how I can see my own force fields or anything else you call invisible. By that same principle, if I concentrate hard enough, I don't need light to read contours. Uh, oh, to read contours, shapes, or people. And that's when she, bursts out a massive force bubble against everybody around her. And that was like a nice little way of, because like when I was young, I was, wondering like, since, if she's invisible, how can she see her own stuff? Is she doing certain things? Or can she? But this kind of like solidifies that. It's like, yeah, you know, her body chemistry is, a little bit different because it's since she's making the invisibility stuff work or for her benefit. That means that she can actually see me like she makes like a rectangle shape like this remote, and you don't see the remote itself, but you get to see kind of like an outline of it, of the shape through your own eyes, even though you're the one making it invisible. You can see it, but they cannot. Like, it works on the, inside on out, not the outside in. So that was a pretty awesome moment. She took back the remote, switched the button so she can actually see everybody. And then she finally gets some answers from Aiden. V was explaining to her that most people that she was dealing with, wasn't working for her. It was working for a partner on the Li-Fi, who sent those group of thugs from like Colleen's place to deal with her because they didn't want to kill the Invisible One. They need the Invisible One for her assets. Second here. They worry about like this other partner, former partner, stealing. Because they kind of like when they broke up, they took half of the knowledge with each other, so neither one of them could fully complete the thing. So, the other guy has been trying to get a hold of V's bit information so he can do whatever he wants with the Li-Fi, sell it to the black market or any government that he wants to, that kind of thing. So she agreed to help. 1 second here. Ultimately, she agrees to help. They gotta go to this mountaintop fortress where the partner is being holed up, working on further research on the Li-Fi. Yeah, apparently, because I forgot about this bit of information. Aiden hired Shang Dao, supposed to be delivering Sue to them in the first place, but he's kind of went off the rails. Yeah, even though the assassin on the motorcycle, those were the business partner. And Aiden was behind the kidnapped college kids too, so it was like an insurance policy. They're on a plane, heading towards the Moravian soil, but he arranged that the plane to explode the moment it's not Moravian. It departs to some Karian airspace. And since Symkaria, which is from where the country from where Silver Sable is from, another famous Marvel spy, slash soldier. You saw her in the DLC for, or at least in the game in general for the Marvel Spider-Man PS4. He arranged for the plane to explode as soon as it reaches the Symkarian airspace. So that way, since those two countries are been at war with each other, Symkarian will assume that was an act of war. Then they will have like a massive conflict. So if Sue Storm doesn't, help them out, then the bomb will go off. Then she'll not only have dead kids on her hands, but like a massive war that she'll feel responsible for. So she has to play along until she can get those kids safe. Then she asks like what happened to him. He used to be such a great guy, and now you just turn to this double agent. Like what happened? And it's apparently like not too long after Sue left last time, Aiden got in the thick of it in one particular mission. He had to pull a trigger on somebody, and it's just that it's a whole Batman thing that he's worried about. It's like if you do it once, he's gonna get a taste of it, and that's what happened with Aiden here. He eventually got too used to pulling a trigger rather than using it as a last resort. It's just too easy for him just to deal with that and just move the heck on. But then he really slipped up where he felt like he was being followed, and then he just turned around and just shot first, and he ended up shooting this little girl holding a teddy bear. And then she was still holding on. Instead of getting help, he ended up just shot her again to make sure she's completely dead since he saw his face. And Sue was just shocked. The fact that this dude's a fucking psychopath. And it's like, this is not the same man that she knew once before. And she realized she probably have to deal with this guy at some point after this mess is over. And he was telling Sue, like I said before, this job doesn't keep you clean. You're not going to always have those kind of choices to just get past the situation of not killing somebody. The choice is going to be made for you one day, like it did me. And it's like, it's the same thing when people try to convince Batman or Superman to kill because it's just easier that way. And it's like, it's because it's too easy is why these superheroes don't normally, well, by and large, don't do it, because that's a blight on their soul first and foremost. They cannot, get that. That's like an image in their minds they won't be able to get out of for the rest of their lives. Yes, there's probably times when superheroes like have to deal with like collateral damage that might have happened as much as they try to avoid it, or like someone died on their watch and it was too late to stop it kind of scenario. But they never once were the ones pulling the trigger, and that's the thing. And I imagine that Sue would have been a little bit more forgiving and understanding of him if it was just that first one time, and it's like, and that never happened again, or at least he chose not to, or become a Buddhist, or whatever the case may be. And I think it would be a little bit more forgivable. But the fact that he kept doing it and he got too used to it, and that's the first move he eventually just jumps to, rather than acknowledging his surroundings and assess the situation before going into that. That would have definitely saved that little girl's life. And the fact that he double tapped her just to make sure nobody sees his face because he was on a cover, especially, that was like overboard. But they eventually infiltrated the fortress. As they were trying to get the information out while they got the other scientists, held down. Sue turns around and sees Aiden just he he shot the dude. It was like, and then Maria Hill comes in, shoots the bit of intel that she got on the hard drive out of Sue's hands, destroying it. And like, and then like the shit's really hitting the fan with Sue when she's like seeing like Maria Hill just like popping up all of a sudden. Okay, and then we're gonna move on to the last issue, where essentially Aiden managed to make his escape by shooting out the lights, and Sue eventually with Maria Hill informing her what's been going on with her whole mission up to this point, and trying to save those kids. As they taking off, they don't realize that Aiden was on board already. So they trying to since V won't be able to get her side of intel, the other side of the intel. The next best move is to just get to the kids' plane, so they can find a bomb, hopefully disarm it, and save those kids before they reach Sicarian airspace. Otherwise, it's over. So they catch up to the plane. Sue uses like a invisible. She made like an invisible tunnel, so she can walk from one end to the other. So that way she can have the kids help her look for the bomb that's on this plane, so she can get rid of it. And as soon as she does, she tries to, because they had to knock out the pilot who was also on watch of these kids to make sure nobody does anything crazy. But then, when she tried to radio Maria Hill to the back to the other plane, Aiden speaks on the speaker and it's like, "Oh, I left her in the meadow when you got off." So like you see like Maria Hill unconscious in a field somewhere as the plane takes off again, and Aiden is like a very like the artistry is like amazing because you get to see like a veins popping on his forehead and like you got a sadistic smile. He's just like out of it. He's like he just snapped. And then he pretty much playing chicken with these planes and telling her like, you either gotta kill me or we'll both die. And like I'm dead either way. I don't care. And it's pretty much like a suicide, and trying to force Sue to like take the shot. And like of course Sue puts up a bubble around the plane, and she's kind of trying to convince Aiden to pull up because he doesn't want him to die despite what he's done. And of course he doesn't. He crashes right into the force field, and he's just dead. And of course, this is like you kind of like everybody's safe, but it's kind of not like a job well done. All's well and ends well kind of moment for Sue. She's like leaving like the last bit of the last remnants of Aiden was his locket that she still held on to, and she buried it in like a plot near a tree that he I guess favored or he spent time at before, or at least grew up near. And this kind of it was like left very a solemn moment for Sue. Uh, she was explaining to Maria Hill that like, hey, I don't want to I guess like so far as like espionage work is concerned, she never want to do this kind of crap again because she might run the risk of turning into Aiden and Maria Hill trying to let her know like you won't be like that. It's like yeah, like dude was driven mad, but it's like is that slippery slope thing. And she wondered like if she was stuck around, maybe she could have prevented him for falling into that hole or something like that. But she's essentially just blaming herself for how, at least so to some extent, how her former partner was driven down this horrible situation. And it's like maybe if I was there, maybe it wouldn't have happened. But you never knew that. And Maria Hill's trying to like give her a pep talk and let her understand like not gonna stop them because they both know like he was on like a pretty much like a suicide mission at that point. But she shouldn't blame herself. But she walks away, and as she does, you can see her like disappearing, and that's the end of the issue. I mean, throughout the comic, these 5-issue comic, you get to see like it's a lot of things that at play here as far as like partners. You get to see like Sue partner up with Aiden in the past, partner up with Maria Hill for a little bit, partner up with Black Widow for a little bit. It's like a nice theme of like, and then like Aiden with his like quote unquote wife. It was a. I thought it was a pretty cool comic, especially a solo comic where like you don't get much, Sue Storm doesn't get much airtime because she, at least time to shine because she, because I don't even know how many people consider like Sue Storm as their favorite Fantastic Four member out of the four, and usually people go to Johnny Storm, or well, it kind of alternates between like. Johnny Storm and Reed Richards, but like it's usually the three. Like Sue Storm is definitely like usually the dead last one, but this I do highly recommend because you get to see Sue Storm utilizing her powers beyond just turning invisible and making force fields. She used other stuff in her playbook, and I think like this is like a good jumping on point to learn about Sue Storm a little bit. Her mentality, just have like a Sue Storm adventure. It's nice, short, and sweet, which I like. It doesn't, because I think at a certain point, some writers like Mark Waid understand that if you're doing like a comic on somebody like Sue Storm or Beta Ray Bill, even like recent months have been doing like a short story issue, and it's like, usually those kind of like minor. I won't say minor, but kind of like, characters that don't get much shine. You give them their moment in the sun, but you make, if they're, especially if they mandate it or something like that, you give it like a short little issue run. And if anybody likes it, they're gonna just like, they buy more of the comic, and you get to see more of that character for future adventures. I highly recommend this comic. Definitely Invisible Woman. Matter of fact, Mr. Fantastic too, because Mr. Fantastic doesn't have any solo runs, which is weird. But Johnny Storm definitely had like at least a couple, and the Thing has a few. This is the first solo Invisible Woman that was actually made. I try to look it up, and like every time I go on, because I go on like readcomics.com, not Comixology, but I'm pretty sure there's other Invisible solo books, and maybe there's like other Mr. Fantastic solos that I did not see. But yeah, I definitely want, this is like a very, because I don't know about any others that might be out there for Invisible Woman, but I'm pretty sure they're not as good as this, because she's played a smart, capable, and like an overall badass, and not just the housewife that happens to be a little bit smart. So yeah, Invisible Woman by Mark Waid. Yeah, definitely give this, look this up, or definitely buy the comic, and you might get a kick out of it. Show a little bit more appreciation for the Invisible Woman. I'm looking forward to the Fantastic Four at the end of Phase 4 of the MCU, and I don't know who's playing her in real life, but Hopefully it should be better than the last two women who played her in live action. And but yeah, I will see you guys next time for another comic book review. Uh, I want to do Superman Earth 1 next time. Hopefully nothing else jumps to mind. I got like a list of stuff that I want to do reviews on, and I don't want to like deviate from the plan. But if something piques my interest, like like I want to do like a Fantastic Four stuff. I want to do more Fantastic Four stuff, and I'm binge watching on Disney Plus the Fantastic Four World's Greatest Heroes. Hopefully by Friday, I will have like a review up for that. Uh, and There's only one season. And I really wish they would have kept that going because it was really good. And it's like it shows the Fantastic Four in like the best way possible. It's probably like the best Fantastic Four stuff. But we'll get into that. But I want to let you guys know now, because I might not bring it up later, that this will show you that all the times when people tell me like the Incredibles are like the better Fantastic Four, look at the TV show. If you have Disney Plus, watch Fantastic Four World's Greatest Heroes. You will see why, they are the OG Marvel family, and they deserve their respect. And a matter of fact, I already mentioned this before with people. It's like I kind of wish in the new Fantastic Four movie for the MCU, like Sue or somebody is watching like the Incredibles on TV, and then one of them said like, "Turn off this crap," and clicks it off. Just the sheer shade of it is like, we're the freaking Fantastic Four. You better put some respect on our names. That kind of thing. And like, because each one of them, they're not just all fire, they're not just rock guy, and they're not stretchy or just invisible. Once I go further into like individually, of course, all together as well with a Fantastic Four book review, I'll eventually will do. Just like this, where you get to see more in depth with their power sets, there's a little more intricate and very ingenious way of how they utilize it. Hopefully I'll find something interesting with Johnny Storm or the Things, as far as like, how their powers work in a particular way that's more grandiose and unique than just being on fire and being rock. So anyway, I'm just going to end the stream now because it's already going up in an hour. And I will see you guys next time. Take care for the next.